this is not the 1980s OSU.
Remember, always have faith in God, but have faith in yourself, and certainly have faith in the Cowboys.
We are back at it. Welcome back to another edition of the Pistols Firing Podcast. I'm Carson Cunningham, joined as always by Colby Powell. Colby, live and in the flesh. How we doing on this Saturday afternoon?
Well, my daughter has been playing with my soundboard, so you just blew my eardrums out with that intro. She likes to turn the music on, and she cranks it to maximum volume so she can dance around. I've got like little hotkeys over here that have music playing on them. One of them is my Hello Gundy song, and she listened to that in its entirety like 20 minutes ago. So that is fresh on the brain. I'm good though. Good week. Good weekend to stay inside. It's cold. It's windy. It's miserable. Everybody be safe traveling to and from Stillwater tonight and early tomorrow morning for this stupid midnight basketball game we're going to have to watch. Yeah,
I totally understand that. We all got stuff going on this weekend, but I do appreciate everyone who has tuned in live and those that will be joining us along the way. Do I sound okay? I look a little loud on my soundboard. Am I okay now? On your end, at least? How the viewers
You were definitely
sound?
Coming in hot, but I thought it was because my headset was cranked up. So.
Okay. Well, if the viewers give us some feedback, we've cut down the mistakes. We've cut down on the plays. So hopefully, if I can do this real quick. Okay. So, yeah, just let us know how it's going, how it's looking, how it sounds, and appreciate everyone joining us. But first, let's hear from Chris's University Spirit, your one-stop Cowboy shop. Be sure to shop at chrisuniversityspirit.com. You're going to want the latest, greatest Oklahoma State wrestling apparel as they look just primed and ready to challenge Penn State this year. They got a long way to go till they do that. But, hey, this Jax Forrest dude, I want to talk a lot about him and his just unbelievable debut as an Oklahoma State Cowboy. Of course, Section 231 shirt's still available, so stop by Chris's if you are in Stillwater. Colby, we got a lot to get to. Besides just the transfer portal, which just keeps rolling along, Eric Morris continues to do a fantastic job in the portal. OSU now becoming kind of a national talking point amongst some prominent voices. We want to get to that as well. But I think what everyone wants to hear about is the reemergence of one Mike Gundy. He's been totally silent for the most part, but he is
fired up. Go Pokes! I'm fired up.
He's fired up because he's going to be on national TV for the College Football Playoff Coaches Film Room, which we all remember. He had an unbelievable appearance the last time he did this. Was kind of ended up running the show and was like guiding it and hosting it while providing insight as well. So we haven't heard much from Mike Colby, but we had speculated perhaps he'd get into TV, and now we know that's his next job.
Yeah, I mean, it's always kind of been a thought that Mike Gundy would be great at TV since he did that first coach's room. It was back in 2017. I looked this morning. It was back in 2017. It was Alabama, Georgia, national title game, overtime. I believe it was the Tua game, if I'm not mistaken, where Tua replaced Jalen Hurts and then ripped a deep ball to whoever that was in overtime to win the game. And he was just fantastic on that. And he's been great at the microphone forever. Whenever he wasn't being a curmudgeon, whenever he was being fun, Mike Gundy, he's always been fun on the mic. So I'm really interested to see if at any point in the night they get to talking about the landscape of modern college football, because it's coaches who are no longer at their previous stop. You know, Gene Chizik is one of the guys. He's kind of from the same era as Mike Gundy. I'm really curious if at any point they start talking about the overall collegiate athletic landscape, what college football and college sports has turned into, NIL in the portal, and if Gundy has any thoughts, any little tidbits, now that he's not the head coach, now that he's just maybe going to be a media personality, maybe he tries to go somewhere else again, I don't know, but I'd be really curious to see if he throws out any little tidbits about, yeah, this is a disaster these days, trying to figure all this stuff out or anything like that, but it'll be interesting. How much of the coach's film room will you actually watch throughout the night? I'll probably go back and forth because for these big games, I do like watching the main broadcast just because it does make it feel like a big game.
Yeah, I always watch the main broadcast. I don't watch alternate broadcasts typically. I haven't really got into the Peyton and Eli Manning alternate broadcast. I'm like you. If I'm watching a game, I want to hear what's actually going on in the game and real-time analysis. But I do think if this was just Mike Gundy in the midst of his current tenure at Oklahoma State, I would tune in and out, maybe put it on like an AirPod or two. But this one I'm going to be way more keenly interested. One, I'm not that invested in who wins the national championship this year. I guess I'm not most years, but I am more intrigued by kind of the old college football setup in terms of the rosters and all the NFL talent at display. So I think I'm less interested in the title game itself and far more interested in what Mike has to say, like you said, about college football in general. How unfiltered will he be now that he's not employed at Oklahoma State? He wasn't that filtered to begin with, I understand, but now you would think he can say and do whatever he wants. And also, I'm curious to hear if he says a thing about his tenure at Oklahoma State or the fans or really anything about his tenure coming to an end, because he said nothing to this point, no statement, not even a one-sentence tweet. I mean, we've gone over this on the show many times, but other coaches with far less tenure have put out stuff thanking fans for their support, thanking the administration. I just think the breakup with Mike has been super, super weird. And really, I can only go on what I've seen and not seen or not read, in that there's some hard feelings there. I mean, you see his son, Colby, did you see his son selling all of his OSU apparel for like 90% off? Like, he's just getting rid of all of his OSU memorabilia and clothing. Like, I don't want to read too much into that, but it kind of goes along with, the feelings that maybe Mike's bitter because he hasn't put anything out there.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been kind of waiting, and I don't think we are anymore. I'm not waiting. I know you're not. I can't imagine anybody listening to this is still waiting. Like, if he says something, great. I think we're all curious what's going through his head. Like, I'm really curious. I would love for him to do a sit-down interview with somebody. Us. No, I'm just kidding. But I would love for him to do a sit-down interview with somebody where he just sat down and he talked about, like, his tenure at Oklahoma State and the way it ended. Like, I would love to hear him talk about, like, just something along the lines of, I honestly gave it everything I had. I couldn't adapt at the end. I couldn't adapt. I couldn't make it work in the crazy landscape. I tried to continue doing it the way I'd always done it, and I got burned, and it didn't go right at the end. I don't think we're going to get that. I think it's going to be a lot of radio silence for a while, and I really don't know how long that's going to be, because at some point I have to imagine Mike Gundy is going to be standing at the middle of that field and be announced with the crowd cheering. Like, how do we get from where we're at now to that place? I think it's going to take a while, and I think there's going to be baby steps along the way. And maybe Monday night can be the first of those baby steps, with him mentioning his time at Oklahoma State, saying something about, I'm not there anymore, but nothing but love for the place that I've spent my entire life, I still think that there's a lot of love to be had between Mike Gundy and the Oklahoma State fan base, but we all have to come back together at some point. And the reality is, the hundreds of thousands, millions of Oklahoma State fans across the globe, we can't reach out to Mike Gundy. Mike Gundy's going to have to reach out. So it's up to him to, at some point, say something, bring himself back into the fold, and hopefully at some point make himself part of the Oklahoma State community again, like Bob Stoops is down in Norman. I know that's a very different scenario in terms of the way it ended. Like, Bob got out too early as opposed to too late. So he just immediately started coming back and being honored and all that stuff. But I would like Mike Gundy to be able to sit in a box and watch OSU games and cheer. I would like him to be honored on that field. Like, it's just too long, and he was too great, and too many great memories associated with Oklahoma State football are lockstep with Mike Gundy for it to be this way forever. But I don't know when the end to this comes, Carson. I think it might be like this and be a little icy for a while.
It certainly appears that way. And again, we got questions and comments coming in. Appreciate everyone, and send them in. We'll kind of interact with you guys as the show goes along, and then we'll save time at the end to answer more specific questions. But T-Mac says it's just a former player selling majority of their athletics attire. I'm sure they've kept all the OSU stuff they've collected over almost 20 years. And yeah, I don't want to read too much into it, but it's an easy dot to connect with the fact that Mike has said nothing. And I just don't get it. Like, first, Mike had the worst team in the country for 2 consecutive years. As I've said before, I don't care if you're Nick Saban. If you're the worst team in all of Power 4, you lose your job. And it feels like, my opinion rather, is that Mike feels like he got railroaded or got screwed over, or he deserved the right to call it quits whenever he felt like it. And I just think that is so wrong and just not the thought process to have there. And to me, I think it lacks self-awareness of your role in the Oklahoma State football program. I mean, we've heard Gavin Gundy come out and say that he's bigger than OSU football and that he is OSU football. And I think that to me appears what the attitude coming from Mike Gundy is. And I don't really understand it. Oklahoma State made Mike Gundy $100 million over the course of his tenure. He did an amazing job getting the program to where it is today. And in turn, he got paid a life-changing, generationally changing sum of money. And it ran its course. It wasn't working anymore. And he didn't fit the NIL in the portal and didn't do what was necessary. He wasn't doing his job necessary to garner the funds to recruit high school players at a top 25 level. That's all part of your job. And he lost his job because he wasn't doing his job at a high level. And how you can have any ill will towards Oklahoma State, the school that you've spent 75% of your life at, is just beyond me. And maybe he doesn't feel that way. I don't know. But the fact that he hasn't put anything out, silence tells me more than anything. And to me, that's disappointing. To your point about when this will all come back together, I think the ball's firmly in Mike's court. I think if he came to the game week 1 next year, it would be an unbelievable reception. And I don't think Chad Weiberg or anyone at OSU would banish him from doing so if he so chooses. I think this is firmly in Mike's court. Do you agree with that?
Oh, dude, I think if Mike Gundy came to the home opener next year, sat in a box, and nobody knew he was there, but then just at some point, either before the game, middle of the first quarter, whatever, you just have a camera and it just gets on Mike Gundy and he's waving to the crowd, Carson, I think the place would go ballistic. I really do. I think it would be an amazing and a healing moment for Oklahoma State fans and for Mike Gundy, for him to just be there and acknowledge, hey, I'm still here. I'm still orange to my core. Love y'all. That's all it would take to me. Show up in a box and wave on camera and let people celebrate. That would be a moment that I think could just wipe it away. I don't know if that'll happen. Again, like you said, there'd be no reason for Chad or anybody at Oklahoma State to have any reason to banish him. It's not like he's come out and done anything wrong. He just hasn't done anything. So, but yeah, I was thinking about it earlier because Layla was playing my little parody song I made last year. Oklahoma State was 3-3 when I made that song. 1-17 since, with the one win being over UT Martin. As far as the firing goes, based on just what was happening at the end, it's the easiest firing ever. You couldn't win a game. You were non-competitive against just about everybody on your schedule. And Carson, we're looking at Indiana, the best team in the country, and what they just did to Oregon. And I'm telling you, that Indiana-Oregon game in that first half was about as competitive as the Oregon-Oklahoma State game. I mean, how far behind Indiana was Oklahoma State this year? Would it have been 100-0? It's just Oklahoma State has fallen way behind.
Oregon could have put up 100 if they wanted to.
Oh, yeah, definitely. They could have put up Dante more points if they wanted to, Carson. Super chat from Blake Davison says, the entire Gundy situation makes me sad for many reasons, from we have a logo too to the loss to TU. I'm stoked with where we are, still feels sad. Yeah, I think we're all very happy with where things are. And yeah, sad about the way it ended with Mike Gundy and the fact that we haven't heard from him. And he's just kind of, it's not like he just moved on from being the head coach, but he's still same old lovable Mike Gundy. It's just like he's totally gone. And it's weird to just 20 years and then just gone into the abyss. And yeah, it's just very weird and sad. But hopefully we all come back together at some point.
Well, he is reemerging on the national broadcast with the coach's film room. And I just did not think at all, based on just having covered Mike Gundy for so long, I didn't think there was one bone in his body that wanted to coach somewhere else next year. I didn't see that. I really thought that he was not going to even pursue coaching jobs. And I don't based on all the reporting nationally and everything, his name was never really out there much, which tells me he wasn't pursuing any jobs. Because look, while Mike did fail the NIL portal era, he's still a really good football coach, and a lot of schools would be willing to hire him if he so choose to take those jobs. So I'm not surprised at all that he's doing TV. I think he would be an unbelievable full-time hire by someone. I mean, he could replace anybody on Fox. I mean, that crew is just amateur hour. And even like Saban's kind of got the ex-coach role. They've got McAfee there. But I was watching, what game was I watching? I can't remember which playoff game it was, but Desmond Howard and Joey Galloway were the halftime analysts. They had an entire first half to analyze. They had the entire commercial break leading into the halftime show. Their hard-hitting analysis was time of possession, and I think Ohio State's going to win, or whoever it was. There was no insight into how, I think it was Indiana beating up on Bama maybe or somebody. There was no insight on how Indiana beat this team, or how here's the one matchup they're exploiting. Nothing. It's just lazy name brand analysts. And I think Mike Gundy has a real opportunity with his, gregarious nature. I think when guys are fresh out of it, they focus far more on the stuff we all want to hear. And I think it's a real opportunity for him in the coach's room to really just cut it loose, be himself, and provide real insight that we don't get on a weekly basis.
Oh, he's going to totally dominate the room, right? Like, there's nobody else in that room who we're going to think, oh, man, he was great tonight. It's going to be the Mike Gundy show, I think.
Oh, totally. I mean, that's what it was years ago when he was on it. And I do think he's just far more comfortable, I think, in that setting than the coaches he was on with last time, as far as just kind of they're so robotic, most college football coaches, just from doing so many like kind of rudimentary style Q&A press conferences. So I totally think he'll do great, and I'm curious to see if this turns into a full-time job. Bob Stoops did that right after leaving the University of Oklahoma. So we'll have to see, and we'll have to see too if he mentions Oklahoma State and starts to kind of mend those fences, so to speak. So we'll see. Lot to get to with the transfer portal. Let's go to the transfer portal tracker here, if I can so do that. It's been a minute. Let me see here. Yep, there we go. So let's go to Marshall Scott's handy portal tracker. You can find it on Pistols Firing blog. It's a lot more full since the last time we looked at it, Colby. But obviously the headliners, Drew Mestamaker, the running back situation. And I didn't realize that Ayo Adeyi, I knew he played for Morris his first season at North Texas. I didn't realize he ran for 1,000 yards, Colby. Then went to James Madison, and now he's back in the fold with Eric Morris. Trey Page as well, this under-heralded guy from Tarleton State. Really a solid running back room from a position group that was really kind of decimated from, graduations and the portal itself, with Rodney Fields going to Kansas State.
Yeah, wait, did Rodney Fields pick Kansas State too?
Yeah, he went to K-State before Wendell Gregory.
Oh, I guess I missed that one. Must have just gotten past me because I saw the
Gregory
news.
We talked about it on the show.
Rodney Fields.
We talked about it on the show.
We did?
I think so. Yeah, I had it on the last rundown, so we definitely did.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Boy, that's I'm functioning at a high level today, clearly.
It's Saturday. We're chilling.
Caleb Hawkins. I learned today that Caleb Hawkins, coming out of high school, had offers from the likes of North Texas, which is where he decided to go, UCO, Emporia State. Like, that was Caleb Hawkins. And now, a year later, he was the number one running back in the portal. Oklahoma State gets him. There were people on Twitter, and these jokers, sometimes you don't know who knows things, who doesn't know things. So you'll see tweets like just random guy talking about a few weeks ago, no way Caleb Hawkins is going to Oklahoma State. He's way too good to go play for that poverty program, something like that. And it's just like, are y'all not seeing what's happening here? Like, are you not understanding what Eric Morris is doing? Eric Morris is bringing the best of the best from North Texas to Oklahoma State to basically bring that offense up here, and then they're filling it all in with pieces everywhere else. The portal, like you said, it's gotten full. I actually have to scroll now to see who's coming in. I love the Donovan Green pickup, tight end. Who was the other guy? The offensive tackle from Oklahoma, Sexton.
Yep,
Jacob Sexton. Like, I like these guys who were absolute beasts, studs coming out of high school and have dealt with injuries, haven't been put in the right position, but like the physicality that is there, the talent is there, and you just need them to be healthy and get in the right spot. The other thing I like, the 9 guys they've brought in on the offensive line average 6'5", 312 pounds. They're going to be playing in Eric Morris's offense. Drew Messamaker, good pocket presence, gets the ball out quickly. You've got a good back there. Like, I just think the offensive line is going to operate at such a higher level. So yeah, 3 of these guys came over from North Texas: Braden Nelson, Johnny Dixon, Desmond Magaya. Another one, the guy that came over from Kansas, Tyler Mercer. He was at North Texas in 2024 before he came over, went to Kansas. Now he's at Oklahoma State. I couldn't be more thrilled with everything that's happened in the portal. I haven't even gotten to the receivers yet. I mean, it's just a loaded receiver room. Bowick, the kid from Illinois, looks like a real red zone threat. I went back and watched a 5-minute highlight reel of every touchdown that Drew Messamaker threw in the 2025 season. Learned a couple of things. Number one, Messamaker has got a missile for an arm, just a cannon. Number 2, Wyatt Young, very good, very elusive, hard to bring down, gets himself in open space. And then Miles Coleman is just so straight line fast that a couple of times he got the ball in his hand, it looked like a safety had an angle. Nah, you didn't have an angle. He was running for miles. I'm stoked to watch Oklahoma State's offense next year. I've already told Layla that we're going to go to a bunch of games and that Bullet is going to run a lot. So she is really excited for football season.
Bullet's got a new lease on life. He better get in game shape because he's probably getting a little out of shape after the last couple of years. I mean, he's got to get back on the treadmill.
Cardio. Little off-season cardio for Bullet, maybe some long-distance stuff, keep the endurance up. Bullet's got something else coming next year.
Yeah, that I hope so, and I would agree with that. You know, what I'm excited about, Colby, is, I mean, the offensive additions are just immense. I mean, we know that, the quarterback, running back, receiver. I really like that Donovan Green kid, too. You mentioned a tight end from LSU. O-line, certainly. I think it's going to be wait and see. I'm a little gun-shy after watching offensive line play at OSU for the last 10 years. But where I'm really excited is when people were asking me how good's OSU going to be next year when I'm just out and about, I focused on the defense. I'm like, well, I think Oklahoma State can win. Sure, they could come out and win 10, 11 games next year. But I would probably pick them to win 8 or 9 based on I don't know much about what they're going to have defensively. Well, I'm very, very encouraged by their additions on the defensive line. You got a Florida State Seminole, James Williams, they got out of the portal, looks like a physical specimen. Billy Walton out of SMU, another edge guy that can really create some havoc. And Sadiq Clements, a really key piece from the North Texas defensive line. Really good additions, in addition to Ethan Weslowski, who we discussed on the last pod, being North Texas's leading tackler. And I think lastly, this Jack Puckett kid from UCO, he comes from Bixby. We know the boys at Bixby know how to play football, and this guy just looks like a tackle machine out of UCO. So we'll have to see if he can make the jump from the UCO level of play to the Big 12. But all in all, Colby, I really, Marion Horn, another great addition from Texas Tech, and really keeping LaDainian Fields in the secondary for me was one of the biggest additions that they made this year by keeping him. So all in all, Colby, I think I'm more encouraged today than I was even a week or so ago, based on the additions they've made on the defensive line and keeping a LaDainian Fields in the fold. I think this is going to go a long way to them really making waves nationally and challenging for the Big 12.
Yeah, the Puckett kid at UCO had 102 tackles last year, and LaDainian Fields was a big one. Sometimes your biggest recruiting wins are just keeping guys in the building who were already there. Here's some stats on LaDainian Fields for you. He finished the season with a PFF coverage grade of 77.6. That was best on the team by about 3 points. He allowed just 2 catches on 13 targets. That reception percentage ranked tops in the Big 12 among defenders with at least 113 coverage snaps. And in those 13 targets, he had 2 interceptions, meaning he allowed 2 catches, had 2 interceptions when he was targeted in 2025. He's a big guy. He's a 6-foot corner. So that's keeping LaDainian Fields in. That's one of your biggest recruiting wins on either side of the ball. And then just the amount of depth that they've brought in on the defensive line, it's not even just, a guy from Louisville, Texas Tech, Florida State. That's all great. I think the kid from Louisville could be really good physically. I think he could be special. But Carson, they just needed more bodies in that group, like more bodies who not just bringing in whoever. Like, they went out and seemingly got 7-8 real guys on the defensive line. And I think that depth is really going to matter when you play against some of these offenses in the Big 12 that want to play with pace, some of the heat that you play in September and October. Like, just having guys that you can constantly be rotating through. I think we've seen a lot of that with Miami in the playoff. They've got Bain and Mesdor out there a lot. They're rotating, 7-8 guys, though, to keep everybody fresh. So, yeah, the 8 defensive linemen have joined Oklahoma State via the portal, and that group last year combined to make 145 tackles, 27.5 tackles for loss, and 12.5 sacks. It's just, I mean, there's nothing to complain about on either side of the ball. The people who were worried on day one that we were just going to bring over 80 North Texas kids and run back that mean green team, that's not what this is going to be. And I can't wait to see what Skylar Cassidy can do with this transfer group that he's getting brought in. The top transfer portal group in the Big 12, by the way, according to 247 Sports. Oklahoma State, number 1 amongst Big 12 schools, and I believe number 5 nationally.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I do think it's interesting, too, that BYU – did you see BYU did not lose a single player in the transfer portal?
I did not see that. That is insane. I do want to shout out, too, Wet Blanket says Jaleel Johnson staying is big. I forgot about that one. Jaleel Johnson staying is a nice one. Just physicality, a beast.
Good call
on
out
the
there.
D-line. How did BYU have 0 kids go in the portal? Were they all on mission whenever the portal opened? What happened?
I mean, I think that's part of it. I mean, that's just a different connection you would have with a school. I'm not certain on that, but you can't imagine every single player is of that church and everything. But I do think that's interesting. So they're going to be formidable. We all know Texas Tech is going to reload. Curious to see how their quarterback plays coming over from Cincinnati. But I will say I think all the additions that Oklahoma State has made has started to turn some heads nationally. Let me, I'm not sure this soundbite is ready to go yet. Let me see if I can play it here. Bear with me. I'm going to play it, but the audio won't start initially, so let's just bear with me here.
The third one, this is more of a wild card here.
Bearing
so I went with one Big Ten, one
means.
SEC.
Play it, but the audio won't start? Here we go.
I got to be real with you.
Here we go. Now here's Josh Pate. He is, everyone knows the Pate State Show, really good college football guy. Gives the Big 12 more credit than most nationally, which I like. And he clearly, to set this soundbite up, Colby, you're going to hear a lot of things that I've been saying for close to 2 years now in terms of all the financial backing Oklahoma State has at their disposal, but we're being hindered a great deal. So here's Josh Pate when examining Oklahoma State in the transfer portal.
The third one, this is more of a wild card here. So I went with one Big Ten, one SEC. I got to be real with you. I'm going to keep an eye on Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State just went and hired Eric Morris from North Texas, and then Morris brought along his quarterback and his running back. So Mestemaker and Hawkins were both top 10 portal additions. But I think the Texas Tech effect is in play here. Because if you know anything about the Oklahoma State situation, as of late, every second Mike Gundy spent as the head coach there was another second that some of the big money refused to cooperate financially. And a lot of conditions for them opening up their wallet were Mike Gundy leaving. So he's gone now. And they brought in Eric Morris. And when I say the Texas Tech effect, I mean it like this. Just because Texas Tech ended up being the first Big 12 program to really just go all in financially and not even apologize for it and just be upfront about it doesn't mean they're going to be the last one to do it. And this is kind of where it has to happen. The Big 12's kind of where it has to happen. So Texas Tech's not the only one where you got really deep-pocketed people who really, really love football. Oklahoma State's got that as well. They may not have a Cody Campbell, although the stadium's named after a guy that very, very much compared in the past, or maybe even surpassed Cody Campbell. I don't want to get into a wallet measuring contest here. You know what I mean when I say that. There's some money at Oklahoma State as well. How all in will they be on football? Because if they become all in on football, doesn't take long for them to be a headline team in a lot of these transfer portal breaking news tweets from Pete Nakos.
There you have it, Colby. I mean, I think that's all sound and well-reasoned, and I think he's talked to the right people. That Oklahoma State now has all-in backing from people with big wallets.
Boy, the way he phrased that on Mike Gundy was pretty brutal. Every minute longer that Mike Gundy was the head coach was one more minute that the money walked out the door. Whoa, that was calling it like it is from Josh Pate. Yeah, it's Oklahoma State's got some money. You've heard some things. I've heard some things about like real money, and it's not sourced. It's not something that I'm reporting. I don't think you are either. But we hear things. We talk to people in Stillwater. There's real money, guys, like real money. And if there wasn't, where would all this be coming from? I've talked about this for weeks now, and not even just on this show. When I'm just talking to people in life, they're like, how much money does Oklahoma State have? I'm like, are you watching? Have you been paying attention to what just happened with Mike Gundy and his entire staff getting bought out? Eric Morris and his entire staff getting brought up from UNT? All of the best players from his team that Oklahoma State wanted get brought up here? You keep LaDainian Fields, like, where's all the money coming from? It's coming from somewhere. I mean, this is probably $50, $60, $70 million Oklahoma State has dished out between the two coaching staffs and the portal additions. David Taylor is at the top of the recruiting ranks. Steve Lutz is at the top of the recruiting ranks. Like, where's all the money coming from if Oklahoma State doesn't have any? I think people are about to wake up to the fact that it's not that Oklahoma State doesn't have money. It's that the money wasn't being used the past few years. Mike Gundy wasn't going out and getting the money. The money didn't want to be there for Mike Gundy because they didn't think that Mike Gundy was bought in on modern college football, that Mike Gundy was bought in on using that money to try to grind and get every last dollar of value out of it to go be one of the best teams in the country. Eric Morris wants to do that. He has said he wants to do that. Day one in Stillwater, he said, can we win a championship here? Hell yes, we can. Day one, he's ready. So, yeah, there are some wallets that are locked and loaded, safety off in Stillwater. And the money's coming from somewhere, and I think the money might run long.
And it's nothing new for people that don't go to Stillwater and don't go around campus and see the multi-million-dollar facilities. It's not just Boone Pickens Stadium. You know this, Colby. The tennis facility, the new baseball stadium, all of the infrastructure should tell people when they go to Stillwater, wow, this place has got some serious financial backing to have all of these facilities. That's been going on for years and years. You know, I went on John Kurtz's Big 12 show, Open for Business, last week, or I think it was this week. My week's running together. I think it was this week. And I brought up the fact that I think I brought this up on the show many times. When Mike Gundy was first hired, the assistant coaches, when they brought in Larry Fedora and his offensive coordinator, his defensive coordinator, they were both making top 10 to top 15 money from day one. That's serious financial backing. And ever since then, you bring in Mike Yursich from Shippensburg State, he's immediately making $500,000, like immediately, without having called a single play at the Division I level. So the financial backing has been there for Mike Gundy since day one throughout. They were willing to support him in NIL. And to your point, he just wasn't willing to mend a lot of fences with serious donors. I've heard that many times. There was plenty of opportunities that he just did not go to. And so, yeah, I think the word is now out nationally that Oklahoma State's got money and they're serious about winning. And I continue to hear really, really, really positive things. Like Oklahoma State is in a great place today for the NIL era. I said that 2 years ago. Or I guess about a year ago. And I think it's going to only improve from here. I don't think the administration, the powers that be, are resting on the financial backing they have today. I think they are still very much turning over every stone and making real deep connections with people that matter. And I think this thing can get to a Texas Tech level. I really do. Now, a lot has to happen. I think Eric Morris needs to have success in year one. I think that would go a long way as well. Anyone that's on the fence sees what Eric Morris can do. I think that's only going to open the floodgates more. But I can't really speak to it specifically, Colby, but I will just say that OSU is about, they've now have their official arrival in the NIL era, and I don't think they're going to just level out. I think they're going to keep climbing. I really do. It's really, really exciting stuff.
Yeah, Pokes93 says, hell, even as a music major graduate, that brand new Performing Arts Center is wildly expensive and nice. Yeah, it is. And they put on some big time shows there. My mom goes to a couple of shows there every year at the McKnight Center. And then Wet Blanket says, glad Josh is noticing. And Carson, I'm glad Josh Pate is noticing too, because he is one of the leading voices in collegiate football, just like throughout the entire calendar year, putting out shows. A lot of people listen to Josh Pate. And we all know that narratives drive perception in college football. And I like that the seed is being planted early, just in transfer portal season in January. The college football season is not over yet. I know for all of us it ended in early September, but it's still going. There's one more game to be played. And already people like Josh Pate are talking about Oklahoma State and what Oklahoma State could be next season. And I think that matters, Carson, because whenever you're ranking teams, Oklahoma State's already at a disadvantage because they're not in the SEC, Big Ten, and I don't know how special this is going to be next year. I have no idea. They could go 6-6, and I'd be like, brought a lot of new guys over, couldn't make it all work. It happens. They could go 11-1 and win the conference, and I'd be like, yeah, did you see the complete overhaul? The amount of money that was spent, the entire new roster that came in? How do you think New York Giants fans would feel if they not only got John Harbaugh, but they also got Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews and Derrick Henry and Justin Matabuke and Kyle Hamilton? Like, how do you think they'd feel if they not only got to get John Harbaugh, but also he got to handpick the 15 best players from the Ravens and bring them over? Would we feel differently about the New York Giants' chances next season? Yeah, we probably would. And the fact that Josh Pate's already talking about it in January, like, let's go ahead and start pushing that narrative so that Oklahoma State's not so behind the eight ball last year. Because I think if Oklahoma State is really good next year, and there's a chance they could be, Carson, I think it's going to be so jarring to people nationally who don't pay attention to Oklahoma State the way we pay attention to Oklahoma State. We know why Oklahoma State was good for so long, and we know why Oklahoma State got really bad at the end of the Mike Gundy era. I think a lot of other people just look around and go, well, Oklahoma State was a good program for a long time. They've totally fallen off. That's not the case. And somebody like Josh Pate letting everybody nationally know that Oklahoma State is going to be back around, I think that's good for Oklahoma State and for the brand.
Totally agree. I think we wanted to hear from our friends at Brewster.
Yes, sir. The Pistols Firing podcast is brought to you by Brewster Consulting Group. Do any of these sound familiar at your company? Processes that are manual and inefficient with no documentation. Data reporting takes forever. It's not accurate. You hear all the hype about AI, but have no clue what it actually means for your business. Projects always running over time, always running over budget. If so, talk with our good friends at Brewster Consulting Group. They help build organizations that run like well-oiled machines with clear processes, reliable data and reporting, and technology that actually works for you. Their team has delivered solutions for local clients like the Tulsa International Airport and Medify. They've also delivered solutions for large international enterprises like DP World. Even better, Brewster was founded and is run by a proud OSU alum and season ticket holder. Learn more about them at www.brewsterconsulting.com or learn more about their methodologies by connecting with them at Brewster Consulting Group on LinkedIn or YouTube. Support the people who support this show. Carson, what's next on the docket?
Well, I was shocked to see, Wendell Gregory, we all know from Oklahoma State, Big 12 Newcomer of the Year, Freshman of the Year, was being courted by the Texas Techs of the world. I think Indiana, Oregon, I think all the big names in NIL were after him. And I saw he committed and signed with Kansas State out of the blue. That shocked me. First off, new coach, Colin Klein, a team that didn't have a great year last year, and I didn't really anticipate K-State being a player in the NIL market. Perhaps they're so similar to Oklahoma State in so many ways as a football program and a school. Perhaps they have more money than I think you and I, watching from afar, realized, or perhaps they put all of their eggs in the Wendell Gregory basket, but they added Rodney Fields and Wendell Gregory. So K-State's trying to reload for next year. It's not just Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I saw that come through. Wendell Gregory to Kansas State, and I almost did a double take. Like, that is just not – it wasn't even in the cards for me that he was going to go to a, in my opinion, lesser Big 12 program. I thought if he was going to go anywhere in the Big 12, it was going to be Texas Tech, BYU, Utah, somewhere like that came and offered him a bag, and he went to play for a school that's been having recent success and certainly more recent success on that side of the ball when you look at what Texas Tech did defensively this past this past season. Yeah, I was shocked to see him go to K-State. I think it's totally weird. I can't imagine they're going to be as good next year as Oklahoma State is with what Oklahoma State has done to retool this offseason. Yeah, Okay, good luck. You could have stayed in Stillwater and maybe been a part of something special next year. Maybe he didn't like his time in Stillwater. I don't know. I thought it would be one of those three Big 12 programs I just mentioned, or he was originally from South Carolina. I heard from somebody that he was a guy when he came in that thought maybe Oklahoma State would be a launching pad place for him to get back to the SEC. So I thought maybe he'd go back to the SEC. Kansas State wasn't even in my first probably 30 guesses.
No, not mine either. And K-State, did you see K-State also hired Sean Gleason, the former offensive coordinator at Oklahoma State for 1 year? And look, he did a really good job with Chuba Hubbard. He unleashed Chuba Hubbard in 2019, winning the Doak Walker. His run schemes were really good. I've just heard that he's a very prickly guy. I mean, he only lasted 1 year. I think he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and he was jettisoned out after one season based mostly on chemistry, lack of fit, and really kind of a prickly guy. And I'd reached out to a couple of K-State people I know, and they had heard similar things from other people about the guy, but the guy knows the running game, and I think that's a really good hire if you're Rodney Fields sitting there. You look at cue up the tape of Chuba Hubbard running through wide open lanes and just turning it into track meets every single week.
Just to clarify, Chuba Hubbard did not win the Doak Walker Award. He was a Doak Walker Award finalist. They gave it to Jonathan Taylor as a Career Achievement Award, despite Chuba leading the nation in rushing that year. And do you remember, Carson, that the K-State game that year? Do you remember that the K-State game was on ESPN Plus that year when he went for like 280 and just looked like the best player in the country? And it was like a rain delay. I seem to remember it being a rain delay game, but I know it was on ESPN Plus, and like nobody saw it. It was something that scrolled across the bottom line, and Jonathan Taylor got the Career Achievement Award for what he did at Wisconsin. So, I think Rodney Fields going to have a great year. Look, those are two guys that we wanted back. So it's a bummer to lose those guys. It's a bummer to lose them in conference to Kansas State, a team that Oklahoma State historically has been really close with. But, it is what it is. We've brought in plenty. So I am not complaining about what's gone out, what's come in. I'm more than happy with what's walked through the door in the portal.
I would agree. And one final note on defections, and we'll get to listener questions as well. Gavin Freeman not going to Tennessee after all. He's now signed with Baylor. I'm not sure what happened there. Perhaps it was a last-minute offer from Baylor that came in more than Tennessee, and he hadn't signed the paperwork. I don't know, but it's interesting that Gavin Freeman will be playing in the Big 12. Now, Oklahoma State is not scheduled to play Baylor this year, if memory serves, but interesting that Freeman, I thought, was going to Tennessee, and great situation with Josh Heupel's offense, but now going to Baylor, which is very much in flux. I think if you look at Baylor, Colby, I think they've probably gone down the most over the course, besides Oklahoma State, obviously, but them and OSU, I think, were two programs trending directly downward, and they did get Gavin Freeman in the portal. And look, you look at Freeman's stats, they're not eye-popping, but as far as his percentage of OSU's passing offense, it was up there. And so he was a productive player, one of the few productive players OSU had.
Yeah, he was a good player. I believe Sawyer Robertson exhausted his eligibility, if I'm not mistaken, so I think they're going to be breaking in a new quarterback in Waco next year. I don't know. Again, it just seems like maybe he didn't think he would have a spot in the rotation because of all the guys Coach Morris is bringing in. Maybe Coach Morris talked to him and said, look, I really like your stuff. I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't know how much room we're going to have for you next year in the rotation. I don't know. But another in-conference transfer. Again, Oklahoma State not scheduled to play Baylor. But I don't know how good that offense is going to be. I don't know how good that team is going to be. I think there's every chance that they maybe wanted to move on from Dave Aranda, and for whatever reason, the cycle being so busy, having it be so late in the season, financially, buyouts, I don't know. Maybe they just couldn't move on from him. But yeah, things just don't seem great in Waco. So, good luck to him as well. But I think this one's as weird as Gregory to Kansas State. I mean, at least Gregory and Fields going to Kansas State. You're going for Colin Klein, an exciting new staff, pitching you on the new era. Like, Aranda feels a little bit lame duck, and like he might be toward the end of his time at Baylor. So, seems like a weird spot for Gavin Freeman to land. But hopefully he does well down there. Again, some of these guys we're not going to end up having major attachments to because they just spent a very small amount of time on very bad teams in Stillwater, and now they're moving on, and it just kind of is what it is.
Yeah, it seems like a cash grab to me, but what do I know? Cowboy fans, If you're looking to sell or lease your commercial property, turn to Wolf Corporation, Oklahoma's trusted commercial real estate listing brokerage since 2010. Their experienced team specializes in showcasing your retail, office, or industrial space to the right buyers and tenants across the state. They're based right here in Oklahoma and deliver results with local expertise. Visit them at wolfcorporation.com. That's WULF or call 405-308-3480 today. Go Pokes. All right, Colby. So one last note here before we get to Twitter questions, YouTube live questions for those watching.
Hey, real quick. Can I pop in with one last thought on Baylor? Because somebody
DJ
in the comment
not
section on
going there, I
YouTube,
don't think.
yeah, somebody said Lagway may not be going there, and I have to read this tweet from Matt Zenitz, college football reporter. Sources tell me that one of the quarterbacks now of interest to Duke as a potential replacement for Darian Mensah is former Florida star QB DJ Lagway, is how that's worded. Star QB? Carson, what are we doing with DJ Lagway? I talked about this earlier this year, and it's not personal with DJ Lagway, obviously, but he wasn't good. At what point was he good? He's just ripping interceptions all across the field. They beat Texas, sure. He's got some physical tools. Florida star QB, DJ Lagway? He wasn't a star at Florida. He probably wasn't going to be a star at Baylor. He probably won't be a star at Duke. I don't know. Maybe it was the coaching down there at Florida. It's been a revolving door of disasters ever since Urban Meyer and everything he was doing down there walked out the door. But the DJ Lagway love. What was the conversation we were having a few weeks ago about guys in the portal talking about Dylan Raiola and DJ Lagway and Drew Mestemaker, guys, from other Power 4 conferences that had done it at this level. And I'm like, he hadn't done it at this level. DJ Lagway hadn't done it at the Power 4 level. He started, but he hadn't been any good. And now Dylan Raiola, is he still going to Oregon? Because now Dante Moore is coming back to Oregon. I know Dylan Raiola didn't go out there to sit behind Dante Moore. The whole thing's just chaos. But that tweet just sent me into a spiral. Star quarterback for the 4-8 Florida Gators. Star. What a star he was.
That's a loose term, I would say. Dylan Raiola stinks. He is not a star either. But Lagway to me is all potential. I will say Florida's been a mess for many years now, so maybe he has star potential, but to your point, he is not a star by any means to this point. Did you happen to see Jax Forrest, who I have deemed the final boss? The Rock has kind of rebranded himself as the final boss there in WWE. I think Jax Forrest might be the ultimate final boss. This kid has just a unique background in that he's already a world champion and should be a senior in high school, should be finishing his last semester of high school. And all he did was make his debut in Bedlam and pin this poor guy in 47 seconds and really just lifted the roof off Gallagher-Iba, which was nearly full, by the way, over 12,000 to see OSU wrestling. OSU wrestling, I should say, as my dad liked to call it. This kid's the real deal, and I think takes this team to a different level now that he's in the fold. Pinning dudes his first time out.
Yeah, no doubt. It'll be curious what they do with him. I can't imagine they're going to try to keep the red shirt on him. He's just too talented. He's too good. I was disappointed in myself Sunday evening. We were at my parents' house. We go over there for Sunday dinner, and the kids play and stuff. And I'd gone upstairs with the kids, and I had the NFL game on up there because I'm in a survivor pool, and there were implications. And I didn't realize when I left the room that Forrest was about to go. Like 5 minutes after I go upstairs, I hear my parents hollering downstairs. I'm like, what is going on? I had missed the debut, Carson. I went upstairs, and 5 minutes later, I was doing other things. I didn't realize that he was about to go, and that was a huge oversight on my part. Obviously, I went back and watched it. He's wildly impressive. That duel Sunday was crazy impressive. That's the first shutout for a David Taylor team since he got to Stillwater, which surprised me, considering some of the rum-dums they've beat up on in the non-conference. First shutout of Oklahoma, I think it said, in like 30-something years. It was awesome. I assumed, you always assume, well, they'll get one or two. They're ranked 15th, 16th in the country. They'll get one or two. And it was just totally non-competitive. Oklahoma State dominated. And I think Oklahoma State is getting better as the season goes. And I think that performance kind of shows it from where they were at national duels to where they are now, and adding Forrest into the mix. Like you said, that's just, if he can really be like the guy at 133, that just throws an entirely different element into this team, where Oklahoma State at the end of the season, there are some good programs behind Penn State. It's not just Penn State. Ohio State is up there. Iowa State is up there. Iowa obviously beat Oklahoma State at the duels, but Oklahoma State's hanging around where I still think this early in the Taylor tenure, they're probably still competing for second. Kel Sanderson and Penn State, the gap was just so big. Closing that gap is going to be hard. But Oklahoma State, I think, has a claim to second best team in the country just as much as just about anybody.
Yeah, first shutout of Oklahoma since 1992, which surprised me. I know OU used to be a top 5 program, so maybe that's why, but as many great teams and national championship teams as OSU's had, I was surprised that was the first shutout of OU since 1992. So really exciting.
First of my lifetime, Carson. First shutout of OU of my lifetime.
What year were you born?
I was born in 92, but it would have been January or February when they wrestled. I was born in September. I have the easiest birthday ever to remember because I was born on September 2nd. So my birthday is 9292. So, yeah, the first shutout of OU in wrestling in my lifetime.
My camera's like shuddering. I'm trying to figure out if I can fix that as we talk. But, yeah, no, that's impressive. And I think it was really cool. Eric Morris was there, got introduced, got to see Gallagher-Iba as full as it's been in a while, and I just think that was a good advertisement for Eric Morris as to what Oklahoma State can be fan base wise. You know, he obviously played there when he was a member of Texas Tech's football program as a player. He's been there before. He knows what it's capable of. But I think it was a good in-person reminder to feel that energy that they had there in Gallagher-Iba.
Yeah, most definitely. And speaking of Gallagher-Iba, Carson, we've got a big one tonight, a big one tonight for Oklahoma State basketball, and that is the first question here on YouTube that I saw. Where'd it go? Wet Blanket, do the Cowboys bounce back tonight? May be a must-win. I struggle to call things must-win still this early in the season, but the Big 12 is such a gauntlet. You dropped a home game to Baylor the other night, who just give me a break with the shooting. Now, like Steve Luss said after the game, you need to do something defensively to make sure that they don't shoot like that, but some of it was just you ran into a team that was on fire. For whatever reason, Oklahoma State has been unable to beat Baylor in Stillwater, in Gallagher-Iba, so just a weird deal going on there. But Oklahoma State, 3-point favorites tonight, Carson. Late tonight. I'm very annoyed by the tip time, if you can't tell by me now mentioning it several times throughout the pod. 3-point favorites.
Yeah, must win. I mean, you got to win that game. You just do. Let's get to some questions, shall we? Any stick out to you so far? Do you think Wet Blanket asked, do you think they bounce back tonight and win?
Yes, so you must have been fiddling with the video. Yeah, I think Oklahoma State does. I'm looking at the schedule here. TCU, next game on the road. Iowa State at home. I will say, of Oklahoma State's remaining, 14 games, only 4 are against ranked opponents. You've got Iowa State at home. You got BYU at home on Wednesday, February 4th. You're at number 1 Arizona on Saturday, February 7th. And then you've got number 7 Houston at home on March 7th. But there are a bunch of games on this schedule against unranked opponents. Now, some of these are really good unranked opponents. West Virginia is still on the schedule. They're a decent team. Kansas is still on the schedule. They're unranked. Obviously, they're still Kansas. So I won't go full must win tonight, but I think it'd be really nice for Oklahoma State to get this one. Also, do your crowd a favor. Anybody who's showing up for a 9:05 tip on a Saturday night, going to be driving home. I mean, Carson, my parents are going. We're going to have the olds out driving down Kilpatrick at 12:30 in the morning. Like, let's give them a show. Put on a show, win the game, do your fans right for showing up that late on a Saturday night.
Totally agree. Does Andrew Petty's comment, you probably have no idea what this guy's talking about. Bedlam 2025 wrestling, the most dominant performance since Royals 85. Do you know what Royals 85 is?
Royals 85. Hit me.
This guy knows me, apparently. Royals 85 was my club soccer team that was, I think we won 7 or 8 state championships. We were the first team from Oklahoma to win regionals and go to the national championship. So deep cut there. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. I don't talk about my past life as a soccer player much, but because it was so long ago. I didn't play in college, but thank you, Andrew, for reminding those Tulsa Nationals folks up there in Tulsa. They beat us one year in state when I was out injured, and that was like their claim to fame. But Royals dominated Tulsa Nationals for any Tulsa Nationals players watching.
That's got to be the most niche question we've ever gotten on the show from Andrew Petty about the Royals 85.
He knows me apparently, because that's a deep cut. Pokes 93. Have you guys reloaded the betting accounts for football season next year? What if the win total was 6.5? I might be ready to be hurt again, Colby. If it comes in at 6.5, I might have to load it up again. I might have to.
Carson, I think I've told myself that under no scenario am I reloading that account to make the same bet that emptied the account. Dude, if the number is 6.5, I don't know. We're gonna have to revisit this conversation in August, because if the number is 6.5, it might be worth a reload. I don't know. That's just, it's too low of a number. Carson, they're gonna be good. Like, again, I understand 3-9, 1-11. I get it, but that's not the team that's taking the field next season. That's not the staff that's on the sideline next season. Those guys, they're gonna be good. So. Yeah, if the number's that low, I think might have to do it. Pokes 93 also asking for the golf swing on camera here. This might not be great for the audio audience, but we're gonna work through it here. You line up, you got to get a little. I've got the toddler club, by the way, so I don't take out the ceiling. Little forward press. I just had wrist surgery, so I can't get too much after it. Make sure you set it. Going back, gonna load that right side, and then drive down through. Right there. There's all the power. Boom. Follow through. Birdie. Carson and I have not played golf since October 18th. It is January 17th. It has been 3 months. This is the longest I've gone in my adult life. I'm not going to be cleared from this wrist surgery for at least another month, probably. So I'm probably going to go 4 months in between hitting a golf ball, and that's just unfathomable in my life. I don't know how I'm making it through the day.
I think I played before October 18th, if that tells you anything. So I need a tutorial. It's been a long time since I've touched a club. I went and hit balls at Kicking Bird about a week ago, and then I'm still just kind of right there, right where I was. So it's okay. It's like riding a bike, I guess. But now who knows when I actually get on a course and have to put the ball in the hole? It's much different. But OSU K-State fan brings up the Royals we had unbelievable uniforms. We had Inter Milan black and blue stripes vertically. The Inter Milan look was top notch for sure. If this is from J-Rod, if Lutz doesn't get to the NCAA tournament this year, how would you rate his hot seat, if any? I think it's too soon to be on the hot seat, Colby, but with the amount of investment that's gone into Oklahoma State basketball, not just with Steve Lutz and NIL, but the facilities that are there at Gallagher-Iba, you got to make the tournament. That's a prerequisite. Steve Lutz knows that. He has a whole new roster this year that he's still kind of working through, getting him to play some defense. But I would think next year, if they don't make the tournament, that's when that conversation would start.
Yeah, I mean, look, I just can't get there right now. Oklahoma State has the 9th ranked recruiting class in the country. This is only year 2 for Steve Lutz. He came in late. He had very little to work with in year 1. I think he made the best of a bad situation in year 1. Now, this season, after the hot start, you would have loved to have won either the Oklahoma game or the Baylor game. I think we feel a lot better about the season if you just win one of those two. But in both of those situations, it felt like, okay, here's a chance to really get a jump on this season and fire people up. You can't do it against Oklahoma. You don't have Parsifala that game. We've seen he's probably the best player on the team. Huge loss there, but you end up losing that game. And then against Baylor the other night, pretty good crowd. Students back in town. People showed up for that one. And Carson, we put kiddo to bed. I turned it on. It was 35-25. I took a drink of my water, and by the time I brought my bottle down, it was 48-25. I'm like, what is going on in Stillwater that they just can't get over this Baylor hump? But I think if you could have won one of those games, it would have been nice. But I don't think there's any hot seat for Steve Lutz. This is year 2. Like, there's some patience required here, especially whenever you're doing the work on the recruiting trail. Oklahoma State has 3 commits. They're all 4 stars. We all know about Montanati. So I'm still excited for the future of Oklahoma State basketball, but I would still like to see this team this year make the tournament. I don't think that that's an expectation that should be bailed on just because they've started conference play. 1-3 now? I don't think that we're bailing on the NCAA tournament expectations for this team. Go on a winning streak at some point. You're going to play 8 or 9 in a row. I think it's 8 in a row against unranked opponents. Go on a winning streak at some point in that stretch. Go win 4 or 5 in a row and make the tournament.
Yep, I would agree. And I'm curious how much Steve Lutz likes Stillwater. We just don't get to hear much about him personally. I mean, I'm sure he loves it. He's a Texas guy. I'm curious if he views Oklahoma State as a lifelong job or not. I don't know. I mean, he probably does. He may not. I don't know. I'm curious to see, how long he will be the coach at Oklahoma State. I mean, I would love for him to win big and stay for 20, 25 years because we've had so much instability in basketball. But that's just a thought I had recently where I do wonder if all the Chad Weiberg stuff kind of scared him a little bit with his contract situation and the Board of Regents. And there's a lot of politics going on up there in Stillwater too. So I am curious to see if Lutz sticks around long term. Hopefully he's successful and gets to decide that. But I don't know. That's just kind of a thought I've had about him recently, which is of no doing of his own. It's more just me thinking about him and the program long term.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. We're being asked here, let's see, Andrew Petty, serious question. Do you think the donors expect at least a bowl game appearance next year? Hard to not expect one if I'm a donor throwing real money around. Yeah. A bowl game is like, that's the floor for this team next year. I think if you go out and you spend all this money on this staff and this roster, you bring over all these big names, like we're expecting this explosive offense. You've brought over a bunch of power 4 guys on the defensive side of the ball. You've reloaded the offensive line. You've reloaded the defensive line. Top 5 portal class in the country. If you come out and go 5-7 next year, whoo, buddy, that is worst case scenario in terms of generating continued excitement for the Eric Morris era and continued financing of the Eric Morris era. That would be a disaster in every way, shape, and form imaginable, and truly the only way that I could see them finishing the season sub-6 in the win column is an early injury, a September injury to Drew Mestemaker.
Which would also concern me about the season win total wager. If Mestemaker were to get hurt, that you can light that betting card on fire. So no,
it's not. But I was just gonna say real quick, it's not 3 rum-dums in the non-con. You do have Oregon again next year with Dante Moore coming back. A game's gonna be in Stillwater, so I mean, let's light Boone Pickens Stadium up. It's gonna be an atmosphere. It's not gonna be 69-3. I'm not picking Oklahoma State to beat the Ducks. It is not gonna be 69-3.
No, and I think there's a real chance Oklahoma State can make that game interesting based on what they've added. I mean, Oregon had some struggles on the road. They were not. Oregon was not dominant away from home. They struggled against some of those slow, methodical Big Ten teams. So I'm not saying Oklahoma State's going to win the game. I just think that they're going to put up some points. I know that. The matter is, can they stop Dante Moore? Since I really wanted Moore to leave and them to have to kind of scramble in the portal. That would have been nice. But Great One says, do you think there's an imbalance on how the current roster was recruited, like a balance of guys who can choose and who can defend as well?
I think he's asking, I read that a couple times. I think he's asking a balance of guys who can shoot and who can defend as well for Steve Lutz. And that's something you and I have talked about. Like Anthony Roy, Victorious Miller can light it up. Not sure exactly what's happening sometimes on the defensive end. I still think, Carson, Baylor got really hot the other night, but on some of those, little ball denial. Just be closer. Be in somebody's hip pocket. Get a foul called. I mean, college officials are just begging to blow their whistles. Give them a reason to from time to time. If a team's getting that hot on you, don't let it balloon to 48-25 before you put your chest in somebody coming around the screen. Like, at some point, you've got to slow down Baylor's rhythm, and I just didn't see Oklahoma State willing to fight through screens hard enough, willing to play good enough ball denial defense, willing to do enough to close the space on Baylor shooters, and I do need to see more of that. It's 1-3 now in the conference, so it's time to figure it out. Otherwise, we are going to be sitting here at the end of the season frustrated once again as we're watching other teams get placed into that bracket.
Yep, totally. They got to figure it out defensively. Break out the football pads like Eddie used to. That's what I say. Break out the football pads. Those aren't being used right now. So, last few questions we'll answer, Colby. It's about time to wrap it up. I appreciate everyone watching the show as well. I guess just, Colby, kind of final thoughts on the portal. I mean, I think if you had to grade it for Eric Morris and company, it's got to be an A. I mean, you go out and get the headlining quarterback, headlining running back, and headlining receiver. Your 3 triplets, and then you add a guy, Miles Coleman, who some would argue at North Texas circles is as good or better than Wyatt Young, combined with the Chris Barnes kid that Charles Duke just pointed out, that electrifying little 5'7" receiver that's a game breaker in the return game. I mean, just so much to love offensively. I really am encouraged by the defensive additions that they wrapped it up with. So overall, I'd have to give them an A, and I just think that if Oklahoma State was a stock, it would have a giant 3 letters, all caps, bold, buy Oklahoma State stock. That's where they're at right now.
Yeah, I think so too. We got asked about the running back depth chart. It's going to be Hawkins 1, I think, and then I would guess it'll be Adai at number 2 from James Madison. I think that's how it's pronounced. My apologies if it's not. Could be Page, but Page is moving up a real level from Tarleton State. So is William Mason from UCO. Dennis Moody coming over from North Texas. He was a couple spots down the depth chart down there, so I would guess it'll be Hawkins 1 and Adai 2. Yeah, Carson, I think overall it's an A+. Like the portal's closed now, and if we would have told anybody, hey, Morris is coming in and he's bringing in a top 5 portal class, like that just would have been beyond great. And I just can't stress the importance enough. I know we're all kind of numb to it now at this point because it's been a couple of weeks. We kind of expected it, and now we're getting what we wanted all along. But him bringing over Drew Mestemaker, the number 1 quarterback in the portal, the most important position in sports, like that is so important for what the outlook of this team is in year 1 under Eric Morris. And that is so important for the overall tenure of Eric Morris to get off to a good start, because this is now, Carson, a crowd-funded sport, and this is a finance-driven sport. And how do you keep the money coming in? You keep the excitement up. How do you do that? All of the excitement we're feeling right now, go win 10 games in year 1 and go ask people for money. Or go win 5 games in year 1 and go ask people for money. And let me know how much comes rolling in. It's just so important to get off to a good start and keep the excitement going, keep the momentum going. And yeah, it's an A+ for Eric Morris, his staff, Raj Murdy. They have absolutely crushed it in the offseason. And there's every reason for Oklahoma State fans, I think, to walk around this offseason puffing their chests out a little bit and expecting a good product next fall.
Yep, totally agree. All right. Appreciate everyone watching. Thank you, Colby, for taking time out of your Saturday. You're welcome, Pokes 93. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you hanging out and asking questions. You certainly help the show move along, and we appreciate everyone being part of the show. It's a lot of fun. So I can't wait to do one of these coming off a big win from Oklahoma State next year in football, but we'll have plenty more shows as basketball rolls along. Wrestling's going to get gearing up even more, and then we'll get into baseball and softball as well. So appreciate everyone watching. Colby, we'll talk with you next week.
Absolutely, Carson. Great stuff. Appreciate everyone joining us and everyone.